All right, class. So we're on page 45 and 46, and right now we're doing questions 10 through 15, and they're asking us to decide whether enough information is given to prove that the two triangles are congruent. Please remember, guys, that if this video goes by a little bit too quick, or I'm explaining a little bit too quickly, you can always go to the website on YouTube, and you can look at it anytime you want. So let's take a look here at question number 10. Here are my two triangles. I have these matching sides, I have these matching sides, and I know that this side is congruent onto itself. So I can say that these two triangles are congruent using the side, side, side rule, because all the sides of this triangle match all the sides of that triangle, so they're going to be congruent. Number 11, I have these two angles are corresponding and congruent. These two angles are these two sides are corresponding and congruent, and I know that this side is congruent to itself. I could put one dash, or I can put three dashes. I can't put two because then I'd be saying that it's congruent to this. Well, you notice here what I have is I have an angle, a side, and we know that there is no angle side side rule. So for number 11, we're going to say no. For number 12, we have a concave kite. I know that these two angles are congruent. I know that these two sides are congruent. And I know that this side here is congruent onto itself. Here's one triangle, there's another triangle. So I can say that this triangle, I have a side angle side congruent to side angle side. So I can say that these two triangles are congruent using the side angle side rule. Number 13, again, I have matching sides. I know that these are vertical angles. So I have a side angle and a side, and I have the exact same side angle and a side, just like in number 12. So I can say that these two triangles are congruent using the side angle side rule. For number 14, they tell me that these sides are congruent. They tell me that these sides are congruent. And although they are not vertical angles, they tell me that these two angles are congruent. And the question is triangle ENV congruent to triangle LOV? And if you look closely, you'll see that you have an angle, a side, and we know that there is no rule that gives us congruency. We know that angle side side is not a rule to prove congruency. So number 14, the answer is no. Number 15, I have this side congruent to this side congruent onto itself, and these two sides are also congruent. So we can say that these two triangles are congruent using the side, side, side rule. So we're done with questions 10 through 15. Let's look at page 46. And on page 46, we're going from numbers 5 to 10. They want to know if these triangles are congruent. Triangle XYW, this triangle here, triangle ZYW, this triangle here. Again, I have these matching sides, I have these matching sides, and I have this side congruent onto itself. So I can say that these two triangles are congruent by the side, side, side rule. Number 6, I know that these angles are congruent, I know that these sides are congruent, and I know that this side is congruent onto itself. So again, I have an angle, a side, and we know that there is no angle side side rule. So I'm going to say no. For number 7, again, I have these matching sides, I have these matching angles, and I know that this side is congruent to itself. So I have a side, an angle between them, and a side. Same thing here. I have the same side, the same angle, and the same side. So I can say that these two triangles are congruent using the side angle side rule. Number 8, I have these two triangles. I have congruent sides, congruent angles, and congruent sides. So I have side, angle, side, copied by the exact same side, angle, side. So I can say that these two triangles are congruent using the side, angle, side rule. Number 9 was probably one of the most difficult ones to see. Because if I took this triangle right here and I kind of like lifted it up, let's say I took it like this and I lifted it up and superimposed it over here, chances are that it might be congruent. But unfortunately, I can't use that. I have to go by the rules of the theorems. So what do I have here? I have an angle, a side, and a side. I hope that we can quickly remember that there is no angle side rule, so we're going to say no. And for number 10, finally, what do I have here? Well, I know that these sides are congruent. I know that this is 90 degrees here, so this is also going to be 90 degrees because they are a linear pair. And I know that segment RA is congruent onto itself. So if you notice on this triangle, I have a side, angle, side, identical to the exact same side, angle, side, meaning that these two triangles, triangles TRA and triangle GRA, are congruent using the side, angle, side